Happy Friday to you, everyone. Welcome to the Marketplace. My name is Darryl Kwao. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana Union of Traders Association kicks against any move to review the country's laws on retail trade, warning of massive job losses. Also coming up, Ghana Stock Exchange ended the first 6 months of this year recording mixed results for investors. How is this a reflection of the state of our economy? We'll have some analysis. And as major businesses work virtually, we explore how organizations can adapt to the new realities and overcome hurdles. Thanks for being with us once again. Details right after this break. Welcome back to the Marketplace. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, says any move to review retail laws in the country could result in the loss of millions of jobs in Ghana's trading community. Already, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, has suggested a possible review of these laws, arguing it would make Ghana's investment climate more attractive. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is predicting a 1 million job loss in the retail space if government reviews the GIPC law on retail trade. Chief Executive of GIPC, Yofi Grant, had earlier suggested to Joy Business that current laws regarding the capital requirement for retail trade in Ghana must be scrapped for the benefit of Ghana's investment climate.
You do an impact analysis of some of your laws and see whether they are working. And if they are not working, then for me, then take it out. If it's not helping you and it's not doing anything, but it's rather a barrier to you, then take it out. If it was a barrier to them and helping us, then it's fine. And so, for example, I know exactly where you are leaning towards. That's the minimum capital requirement for an investor. You ask the question, why does an investor need a minimum capital? Because, one, you don't want to give him an unfair advantage over your people. So you think he must bring some money. Yeah. But the virtue of the fact that he's coming to invest in itself means he's bringing some money. Why do you set a limit, and what is the significance of the limit? The interesting thing is, in our research, what we found out was that it's even now that we have that law that we've seen more infringements by our neighbors and other people from across the world, which has led to some unfortunate incidences that have occurred in the marketplace. Yeah. As far as this law was in place. So obviously the law wasn't working, and there's been insistence that government must act on the law. But it's not as easy as that. It's not as simple as that.
What do you think we should be doing? Because should we increase the capital?
No, I think that we should remove it. We should take it all out. And investors have complained. Even Ghanaians complain.
Meanwhile, President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, insists the GIPC must rather explore other avenues for investment other than the retail space.
We should not be restrictive to the extent that we don't allow anybody to enter the retail space. But then there's a caveat. And there's this window of opportunity that if you're able to invest in this sum, then this window is open to you, so that there shouldn't be abuse in the retail sector where it's not going to derail the progress of the manufacturing sector. It's as simple as that. So it's not that we are going to just open ourselves without any limitation, because that's not the essence, that's not the priority, and that can never be the priority of government, and it shouldn't be the priority of government that I am seeking foreign direct investment into the retail space. It doesn't make sense anyway in the world.
Ghana's retail trade law generally lays out activities that foreign investors are not permitted to invest or participate in. This list is not exclusive. Other laws have provisions on activities reserved for Ghanaians. These activities include the sale of goods or provision of services in a market, petty trading or hawking, or selling of goods in a stall at any place.
Now, major businesses in the country are switching to virtual platforms to help contain the spread of COVID-19 at the workplace. That's according to Chief Executive of the Ghana Employers Association, Alex Frimpong. He says this move has been influenced by the rising COVID-19 cases. Mr. Frimpong was speaking on PM Express.
many of the organizations are now using virtual meetings, which hitherto was unknown. Why? Because if we are going to observe strict social distancing, physical distancing, the business must go on. So, but in whatever location where you find yourself, you should be able to use the platform to contribute to management meetings, board meetings, and all other areas that you'll be required to share ideas on the way forward. Employee communication is also becoming very, very important. So many organizations are developing other innovative ideas, creation of WhatsApp groups, improving the intranet facilities to make sure that businesses are in touch with their employees and the other stakeholders.
Mr. Pimpo, just sorry to interrupt a little bit. In terms of the data that you are picking from your members, are more of your members now going virtual?
Sure, a good number of them are going virtual. In addition to that, some of them are also doing job rotation.
Okay.
Maybe 10 people can come to work today, or maybe in a week, another 10 will come, depending upon the size. But we must also understand that not all operations can yield to working from home, the working from home idea. For instance, from a manufacturing concern, the key operatives cannot work from home. They must necessarily be physically present in the factory, but the support and ancillary staff can equally do so. Okay. So even for those who will be standing by the machine, how can you streamline the operations to make sure that those who attend work and are operating the machines, there are new ways of operating to really conform to the standard of physical distancing.
Okay.
So businesses are going through a lot of reviews, simulations to make sure that they are able to cope with the pandemic.
Well, so what challenges are organizations presented with as more of their staff work from home, and what realities should they accept? Here's co-founder of software company Dream Overall Limited, Derridin Dazi.
In Ghana, who now have to let their team members work from home, will have to now spend more money to be able to provide the needed tools for their employees or their team members to work from home. And that is where sometimes the challenge comes. I think that the key challenge of working from home is really the pre-COVID culture. If pre-COVID, you have a certain culture of being able to do work remotely, then in COVID times, it is quite easy to make that transition.
Okay.
But if pre-COVID, your work culture does not lend itself for remote working, then the adjustment or the transition can become very difficult.
Okay.
So one of the key things is being able to, one, establish that culture of being able to have the discipline to coordinate work outside the office. In our terrain, in our part of the world, bosses would like to see you working. So there's certain element that does not make it easy for work from home, to become ideal for certain working environment, right? But a critical ingredient here is, one, do you have a culture of coordinating work outside offices, right? Have you been able to prepare the needed expenditure, or do you have the money to be able to support your team members to be able to work from home? And even more critical is, do you have the tools or the goal management system to be able to manage working outside home? Because now you're not seeing anybody. You can't walk to somebody's desk and say, hey, what are you doing? You have to be able to coordinate that over a virtual platform. How do you know whether the person is sleeping and telling you that the internet is not working while the internet is working? How do you respond to children in the environment who are disturbing the team member from really properly engaging in work in the kind of environment that the person needs? How do you even create that work setting? Because certain working environment requires a certain atmosphere, which requires a certain ambience to be able to deliver.
Now, the Ghana Stock Exchange ended the first 6 months of this year recording mixed results for investors. The half-year report showed that while trading activities picked up strongly, investor returns, on the other hand, reduced sharply. Details in the following Business Desk report.
According to the report, total volume of trades for the first half of this year went down significantly, with the value of shares traded, on the other hand, inching up by more than 100% compared to the same period in 2019. However, some declines were recorded considering the month-on-month trading, which is from May to June this year. The composite index of the Ghana Stock Exchange for the half year was down by a little over 14%. What this means is that investors since the beginning of this year have seen their investment plummet by that margin. Some could link this to the economy and possibly the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. MTN in the first half of this year stood out as the best stock in value, trade and volume. The share price of MTN is now selling at 57 pesos after trading open at 70 pesos on the market. Some industry watchers believe that the stock market is always a reflection of the economy. So if things are going well, that will be reflected in trading activities.
So let's get some analysis on this. Charles Amakwata is head of brokerage of CDA Securities. He joins us to discuss. So we are told that the half-year report showed that while trading activities picked up strongly, the returns, on the other hand, reduced sharply. Explain that for us. All right, Charles, I hope you can hear me. Let's discuss this half-year report of the Ghana Stock Exchange. We are looking at the performance over the first 6 months of the year. So we are told that trading activities picked up strongly, but then investor returns reduced sharply. Can you explain what that situation is? All right, we are having difficulties connecting with Charles Amakwata, who is with CDH Securities. I hope we have the other Charles Aite on Zoom. On a story that we are learning, the dissolution of the Greater Accra Regional Branch of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Charles Aite following that story for us. He joins me with more. Charles, what do we know so far? Charles, what do you know so far about the dissolution of the Greater Accra Branch of GUTA?
On specific concerns by members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, the president of the Greater Accra Regional Council, together with his secretary, were breaching specific code of ethics of the Ghana Union of Traders Association. They don't organize meetings, and even if they do, it's just between himself and that of the secretary. And we're also getting that there is this bad blood between the top hierarchy and members of the council. So these have been various issues that have been raised during the emergency council meeting today, out of which it was resolved that both of them, together with the entire executive council, must be resolved. We got in touch with the acting vice president of GUTA in the person of Clement Boateng, who is also the chairman of the Spare Part Dealers Association, who tells us that in the interim, a special executive board have been constituted to advance the various duties of this council after various elections are held. Based on that, they're going to be having new executive councils in the next coming weeks. But for now, the entire council has been dissolved and an interim one has been put in place, appointed and not elected. The elections are going to be held somewhere before the end of July.
And so some politics going on there at GUTA, would it have any likely impact on trading?
Well, Clement Boateng helps us understand there will not be any impact whatsoever, especially when we've had an interim council in place at the moment. And yes, there are stark concerns facing traders in Ghana, issues regarding COVID-19, retail feud and whatnot, and they are advancing their challenges with the trade ministry. So these things will not be hampered by the recent developments within the executive council, especially when an interim body has been constituted already to oversee these matters.
All right, thank you very much, Charles Aite, with the latest there for us. And finally, this afternoon, as the COVID-19 case count increases, business organizations are finding new ways of sensitizing the public about the disease. Producers of Puma Drinks, Casa Preco Company Limited, and MMT, Metro Mass Transit, have partnered to serve travelers on Metro Mass buses in Accra some refreshments. Travelers will also be sensitized on the virus during the interaction. More in this report.
Over the years, we've been able to raise more than 1.5 million cedis for the cardio center.
Beginning of the year, before the COVID came in, we were the first company to introduce our hand sanitizers.
The beverage producer Casapreco Company Limited, KCL, has increased its corporate social responsibility during this COVID-19 pandemic. The partnership between Metro Mass and KCL is aimed at attracting commuters to support the transport operator during this COVID-19 pandemic when commercial transport owners are complaining of bad business. For now, passengers within the Accra metropolis will enjoy the Puma drink refreshment. KCL intends to replicate this partnership with MMT in other regions. Commercial Director for KCL, Gerald Bonsu, touches on the need for this partnership.
The reason that we want to partner with the MMT is that as part of our corporate social responsibility, we want to also educate the public on how to be safe out there whilst like in the buses. We advise that they wear their masks, they use KCL hand sanitizer. At the same time, they will also have the experience of getting a free drink, which is the Puma drink in the buses. We want to support Ghana as a whole. The partnership is going to be for a while. I think we'll be around for a while because we don't know when the COVID will be over.
Deputy Managing Director Operations and Technical, Metro Mass Transit, Richard Osei-Banfo, who accepted the beverages on behalf of the transport company, underscored the impact of this partnership with Casapreco.
We are there, because so we be a banner yesterday, and can say COVID diabe, and do we try? I'm say a man crofo be acquiring him. No man can get to be on baby. It's me boy, Emma Nipa, Sebi, or
We have been engaging some of the first beneficiaries of the Puma Drinks and MMT partnership. Chris Ado-Sarkodie is the sales marketing manager for soft drinks and water at KCL.
The government is admonishing us to ensure that we live safely and then try to accommodate these COVID-19 issues. We also believe that as a company, we can only innovate to stay relevant. We have teamed up with Metro Mass Transit to ensure that we can coordinate in terms of the people who are actually boarding the bus and then the consumption activities. And so what we are saying is that if you should find any of these branded buses, the long ones I should say, that means that it's your lucky day.
The Kolebu Teaching Hospital, 37 Military Hospital, Information Ministry, Mensha Palace, among others, have so far benefited from Casapreco's COVID-19 support. Before Ghana recorded her first 2 cases of the fast-spreading COVID-19, Casapreco was the indigenous beverage company to produce affordable hand sanitizers in the country when prices of the product hit the roof.
What a way to end our Friday. That's the marketplace. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Carl. This morning is on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Up next, the election brief.